Hello and a very warm welcome to you. I'm so glad you're here. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of self-hypnosis. We're going to pull back the curtain on a tool that's practical, totally safe, and way simpler than you might think. It's all about giving you more control over your life, not less. So, let's get right into it.
When you hear the word hypnosis, this is probably the image that pops into your head, right? You've got the swinging pocket watch, the spooky voice, and this idea of completely losing control. It's straight out of cartoons and old movies.
But here's the big secret. The reality of therapeutic hypnosis is the exact opposite of that. Seriously, it has nothing to do with losing control. In fact, it's a powerful way to gain more control over your own mind, your habits, and ultimately, your life.
Okay, so before we get into the how-to, we have got to bust a few major myths. The source material has a great name for this. It calls it Scooby-Doo hypnosis. And honestly, this cartoon version of hypnosis is the biggest reason people misunderstand how powerful this technique really is.
You've seen those stage shows, right, where people are clucking like chickens or dancing uncontrollably? Well, that's pure performance. It's entertainment. The hypnotist on stage is using suggestion, sure, but also a ton of social pressure to put on a fun show. It's a spectacle that has almost nothing to do with the real therapeutic process.
So this is the most important thing to get straight. We have to separate the fiction from the fact. Real hypnosis isn't about mind control. It's about focused attention. You don't lose your will, you just become more open to new ideas. And you're not unconscious or asleep, you're in a completely natural, awake state, one where you can make positive changes.
So, if it's not mind control, what in the world is this natural state we're talking about? Well, you're going to be surprised, because I can almost guarantee you've already been in it today.
At its heart, hypnosis isn't some kind of magic. It's just a state of intense focus. Think of it like a mental spotlight. When you shine that spotlight on just one thing, everything else in the background just kind of fades away. And in that focused state, your mind becomes incredibly open and receptive to new information.
You know that feeling when you're so lost in a movie that you physically jump when something surprising happens on screen? Or have you ever driven a familiar route and suddenly you're at your destination with almost no memory of the actual drive? That's highway hypnosis. These are perfect examples. You were awake, you were in control, but your mind was in a natural trance.
So how does this actually work? Well, imagine you have a part of your mind called the critical factor. It's like a little gatekeeper or a bouncer for your brain. Its job is to constantly analyze, question, and challenge new ideas. It's that nagging inner voice that says, "Oh, I could never do that," or "That's not who I am."
And this is where the magic happens. Hypnosis gently asks that gatekeeper to just relax for a minute, to step aside. This allows positive, helpful suggestions, like "I am confident and calm," to bypass that critical voice and go straight into your inner mind, which is where all your deep-seated beliefs and habits live.
Now we get to the real game changer described in our source material. This is a method of self-hypnosis that completely flips the script. You don't need to close your eyes, you don't need to do complex visualizations, it's something else entirely. The story behind this is pretty incredible. The author wasn't trying to invent a new method at all. He was just reading a standard hypnosis script out loud to prepare for a client. And as he was reading, he suddenly realized he was hypnotizing himself. His eyes were wide open, he was just reading the words, but he was in that same exact focused, receptive state.
And this accidental discovery changes everything. Look at the difference here. With traditional methods, you're trying to visualize with your eyes closed, and let's be honest, half the time you just fall asleep. But with this method, you're awake, you're alert, it works immediately, and all you have to do is read. That's it.
Okay, so how do you actually do this? How can you put it into practice right now? Well, the whole process is broken down into 4 incredibly simple, straightforward steps.
It really is this simple. First, you prepare, which just means finding a quiet spot where you won't be bothered. Then, you simply read 3 short scripts out loud. One to get you into that focused state, one for your specific goal, and then one to bring you right back out. You start by reading what's called the induction script. The words are very specific, designed to tell your mind, okay, it's time to relax that critical gatekeeper and become really receptive. By reading these words aloud, you are literally giving your own mind instructions to enter that hypnotic state. Next up is the main event, the goal script. This is where you read the positive suggestions you actually want to absorb. Our source provides a whole bunch of these for different goals, like this one for quitting smoking.
These are the powerful statements that your inner mind is now ready to accept as true. And finally, you have the awakening script. This gives a very clear, clean end to the session. There's no drifting off or wondering if it worked. You simply read the words, count to 5, and you bring yourself back to full, wide-awake awareness, feeling great. It proves that you are in complete control the entire time. So this technique is more than just a cool theory. It's a really practical, hands-on toolkit for real-world personal development.
And I'm not talking about a couple of generic ideas. The book actually provides 35 unique, pre-written goal scripts. That's a whole library of tools designed to help you tackle a huge range of common personal goals. And just look at the variety here. You can work on emotional well-being like reducing stress. You can build powerful traits like self-confidence. You can break bad habits like procrastination, or even work on practical goals like improving your memory or attracting more money. It just shows how flexible this whole approach really is.
But this might be the most powerful part of all. It doesn't just give you pre-written scripts. It gives you the exact template and instructions to write your own custom scripts. This means you can tailor this technique to literally any personal goal you can think of, making it an infinitely customizable tool for your own growth.
So, at the end of the day, what this technique really does is take hypnosis out of the realm of mystery and stage shows and turns it into a simple, personal tool that works with the natural power of your own mind. The ability to change is placed directly in your hands. So that leaves just one final question. If you could rewrite a script for your own mind, what would you want it to say? Thank you so much for joining me today, and until next time, take care.